Hi everyone, welcome back to today's session. Today we'll be discussing another chapter from Snapshots, and that is Albert Einstein at School by Patrick Pringle. We must all have heard about the name Albert Einstein. He is known to be a great physicist. He is also known to be the father of modern physics, and he had made a lot of achievements in the field of science. Just like Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein had dedicated himself towards a lot of discoveries and inventions. In this chapter, Albert Einstein at School, we will not be discussing his invention or his discoveries. Rather, we will be discussing Albert Einstein's life at school. The story begins in the class where the history teacher of Albert Einstein, Mr. Braun, is asking a question to Albert. He is asking him, Albert, do you know in which year Prussia defeated France in the Battle of Waterloo? The poor Albert Einstein does not know the answer to that question, nor is he interested in. He tells his teacher that he must have studied it somewhere, but he has forgotten the year and the dates. The teacher says that it is the responsibility of a child to study when he comes to the school. But Albert Einstein says that he is not interested in rote learning or mugging up the facts. Rather, he is more interested in the idea. He says that he does not want to know the year in which the battle took place. Rather, he is interested in knowing why did the battle take place? What was the reason behind the battle? Albert Einstein in school is somebody who has always been very vocal about the fact that the education system is very flawed. He does not like the education system which believes a child that he should learn, he should read, he should mug up the facts, he should actually be into rote learning. Rather, Albert is a child who believes in understanding something, who believes in grasping the ideas rather than mugging up the facts. Now, this was the history class of Albert Einstein. Now he comes back to his apartment, the quarters. Albert Einstein at this point of time is living in Munich. When he comes back to his apartment, he calls up his very good friend Yuri, and he tells him about the bad conditions in which he is living. Now we need to know certain facts about Albert Einstein. First, his father is not very rich, yet he wants his child Albert to get a diploma certificate. Second, Albert Einstein is not living in great conditions in his quarters. Rather, the conditions in his quarter is very bad. He is living in very worse conditions. His landlord beats his children. His landlord also beats his wife. In such a violent, in such a bad condition, Albert Einstein is feeling very suffocated, and he shares this problem with his friend Yuri. Now his friend Yuri tells him that the situation is no better for him. Even in the quarters, even in his apartments, boys, they fight amongst each other. Rather, once he also told Albert that there was such a severe fight that one of the boys in his apartment ended up murdering another boy. And actually the boy had no problem in murdering somebody else. Rather, he was feeling bad that even after murder, he did not have any scar or he did not have any wound on his body to actually showcase it as a badge of honor. So Yuri tells Albert that he is not living in better conditions. Rather, the conditions in his apartment are also very violent, but he has to live in that atmosphere. Next, Albert also talks to his sister Elsa. She is another important part in his life. Elsa is the cousin of Albert who lives in Berlin, but sometimes she comes to meet Albert. Now Albert tells his problem to Elsa. He tells Elsa that he does not like the education system, he does not like mugging up the facts, and rather he feels that this time in his examination he might not even pass. Elsa feels that she has met a lot more people who are stupider than Albert, and she believes that Albert will be able to clear his exams if he studies hard. But Albert tells him her problem. He tells him, he tells Elsa that he finds the education system very boring. Rather, he is interested in science, he is more interested in geology, and he is more interested in music. He tells Elsa that he likes to play violin, and he plays it till his landlady comes and stops him. Elsa believes that at this point of time, Albert should not criticize the education system. Rather, he should believe in the education system and just clear and pass his exams. Albert says that probably he's going to try, but he does not think that he's going to pass. He just is studying in Munich only because of his father, because his father wants him to get a diploma certificate. Otherwise, he is not interested in getting any education in Munich. Rather, he wants to have a comfortable, happy life with his family in Italy, in Milan. So here we are coming across Albert Einstein as a child who is very repulsive towards the education system. He likes science because science believes in facts. It believes in ideas. It believes in conceptualizations. He does not believe in just studying something which is actually there in the book. Albert believes that if you can find something in the book, you can just open the book and know about it. Rather, a person should dedicate himself towards knowing the unknown facts that are hidden in the society. 6 months pass by and the young Albert Einstein is still not very happy with the education system. He still wants to get out of Munich and go back to his parents in Milan. He shares his problem with his friend Yuri once again and tells him that he is on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Yes, his mental and his physical health is both affected when he is in school, and he just wants to free himself from this atmosphere. Then Albert asks Yuri if any of his friend is in the medical department or is a doctor. Yuri says that yes, he has a friend who is in the medical department. Albert says that he wants to have a letter from that doctor, a medical certificate claiming that if he is not away from the school, Albert might suffer from a nervous breakdown. Though Yuri initially is a little hesitant and tries to convince Albert to finish his education, but he knows that his friend is very adamant, and so Yuri says that yes, he has a friend, Dr. Ernest Will. He has just completed his medical degree and he might be able to help Albert in this problem. Albert wastes no time and he goes to visit Dr. Ernest Will. Dr. Ernest, after listening to the entire story of Albert Einstein, how he is very unhappy with the education system, how all his teachers are always scolding him and not supporting him, is making the condition of Albert really bad. He says that yes, he will give a medical certificate to Albert, proving that if he is not away from school, he might suffer from a nervous breakdown. So after getting that certificate, Albert says, what is his fees? Dr. Ernest says that he does not want any fees. Rather, he wants Albert to take Yuri out for a dinner. When he goes out for a dinner, Albert informs Yuri that he is soon going to leave Munich and he'll lead a very happy life in Milan. Before leaving, Yuri tells him that Albert should actually get a reference letter from the maths teacher, so that when he joins a college in Italy, it won't be much problem to him. He can easily further pursue his studies. Now, Albert decides to approach his maths teacher, Mr. Koch, regarding the reference letter. Mr. Koch is not surprised with Albert asking him for that letter, because he always believed and he always knew that Albert is not happy in the school. Rather, he wants to have a free life in Italy, in Milan. Mr. Koch very happily gives a reference letter to Albert. Now Albert's problems are solved. He can go back to his life in Milan, he can be with his parents. But he has to give that reference letter to his headmaster and inform him that he is leaving the school. To the surprise of Albert, when he approaches the headmaster of the school, the headmaster had already called for him before. The headmaster informs Albert that all the teachers in the school, especially the history teacher, Remember the first episode where the history teacher asked Albert about the Battle of Waterloo and he was unable to answer? All the teachers want Albert to leave the school. And why is that? Albert is a very indisciplined student. He does not motivate or support any teacher, rather he bullies them. And also the headmaster believes that Albert is not a good influence to the other students in the school. So the school will prosper more in the absence of Albert Einstein. Albert could have justified himself. He could have said that the education system is flawed, the teachers don't understand him, rather they always pressurize him in knowing the facts. But right now he does not want to argue with the headmaster. Instead, he is very happy with the news that the school itself is asking him to leave it, and he is being expelled from the school. When Albert is moving out of the room, the headmaster asks him to close the door. But Albert is so happy with the fact that he does not have to study in Munich, he can go back to Italy, that he forgets to close the door. Now the happy Albert is, he is ready to go back to Milan. But before he leaves, he says thank you to his friend Yuri, who is always his supporter and motivator. Yuri wishes Albert Einstein all the best in life and asks him to be a great discoverer in the future. This story, Albert Einstein at School, focuses on the flawed education system, which believes the students that they should always they should become habitual of rote learning. They should mug up the facts. Rather, they do not believe that a child needs to understand a concept rather than learning it. A child needs to have its own ideas and thoughts rather than ideas being imposed on it. Next, we come across Yuri's character, which is very important. He is a source of solace and comfort for a very distressed Albert Einstein. He is the constant supporter. It is his motivation that always cheers up a depressed Albert. Next, we also have Elsa, who is the cousin of Albert Einstein. She is a product of the education system. She believes that no, Albert should concentrate on his studies and should pass. And later he can, concentrate on other subjects like science and geology and music. And, a young Albert Einstein who is always interested in facts, who is not interested in actually facts, who is more interested in ideas, who is more interested in music, he is always being repulsed by the society for his, choice of option. And next, we also have a young Albert Einstein who is willing to put all the pressures of the society, aside in order to have a great future in his life. So Albert Einstein at School discusses Albert Einstein's life at school, where he struggled against the education system and eventually was successful by leaving behind his life in Munich and going back to Italy, the place he always wanted to be. Thank you. This is it for today. Please like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you.